Hi, this is Tim Meyer from Keep Yourself Relevant. Today I want to spend a little time talking about one of the books that I've used over the years. It's called The Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. Today I want to spend some time talking about the overview of the book and how the habits relate to one another. And then I'll get started on the first habit, habit number one, be proactive. And then I'll put together a series of videos on the other six habits. So with that, let's get started. So again, the book is the Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, and it's focusing on your personal growth as well as growth that you could use if you want to lead people. So the idea behind the book is that there's seven different habits that you can use and grow in order to raise your level of um, skills from being dependent to independence to interdependence. So this first section here, you're considered dependent, and then you start to work on the first three habits, which will grow your own private self. The first habit is be proactive. Second is begin with the end in mind, and the third is put things first. So those three will develop your own personal skills and start to gain your independence. Then, if you want to continue on with the remaining another set of three habits, you can work on the skills that will help you influence others in the world that you work in. So, habit number four is think win win. Habit number five, seek first to understand, then be understood. And habit six is synergize. And then once you have those six habits, you will be well on your way to being interdependent as well. And then number seven is the idea sharpen your saw, which is that you'll just continue to grow your skills throughout your lifetime, sort of a lifelong learner concept. So, in order to grow your habits and develop your habits, there's three things that you need to keep in mind. The first one is knowledge, which is the what to and why to. Then another skill that you need to develop in order to gain your habits is the concept of skills, and that's the how to. And then the third element is your desire, your want to. And where they all overlap is obviously where you start to begin and form your habits that you'll use going forward. So, habit number one is be proactive. And the chapter that this habit is explained in is really starts off with a really good quote, and I'll read that to you. I know of no more encouraging fact than the unquestionable ability of man to elevate his life by conscious endeavor by Henry David Thoreau. I think that really captures the essence of habit number one, which is being proactive. Again, being proactive, we focus here on this personal work, and the first skill is part of, or the first habit is part of that private victory. And these are things that are in your control. And it's important to emphasize and understand that this concept is these first three habits are things that you can control. And then these three habits are not necessarily in your control. You have influence over them. And one thing that he talks about in building the first habit is that naturally people respond get a stimulus and then they have a response. And we know are all probably familiar with Maslow's dog experience where they had a stimulus and they had a response. And he studied people going back some 200 years, and people consistently respond to a stimulus. And what he's saying, in order to grow your first habit, number one, and be proactive, is that you have the freedom to then choose based on the stimulus. So if you have a stimulus, then you have, based on your self awareness, your imagination, your own conscious, and your independent will, you can then form and decide your own response. So I'll go over some of the characteristics that helped determine your ability to be proactive. One is first, you need to take initiative. Another is act or be acted upon. And we all probably have been in a situation where you were thinking about acting and you didn't, and then you no longer had the decision to be acted on. But probably the easiest one to understand, and I've got some examples here, is the concept of listening to our own language. So when when we're talking to ourselves, if you will, when we are trying, based on a stimulus, we're trying to build our response. We can either have reactive language or proactive language, and I'll give you some examples here. First one is there is nothing I can do, which is a reactive response, versus let's look at our alternatives. A reactive language would be that's just the way it is. Proactive would be I can choose a different approach. They won't allow it. I can create an effective presentation. I can't versus I choose. If only versus I will. And you can see that being able to be proactive, you're going to change the way you respond from reactive language to proactive language. And one of the things that you want to be aware of is that you have a circle of concern. So these are all the things that you're worried about with your family, your career, your own personal self, and then everything outside of the circle is something that you is not necessarily of concern to you. And when the idea is that you want to be able to grow the circle of concern by your circle of influence. So these are all the things that you can influence. So when we're building our personal habits, our circle of influence is going to grow. And one of the ways that we can grow that circle of influence is by being proactive in our focus. So positive energy enlarges the circle of influence. And then conversely, reactive focus or negative energy reduces the circle of influence. And obviously, you want to have your circle of influence be as large in your circle of concern as possible. So, going back to the overall item of the diagram of the 7 habits, the first one is our habit is be proactive. And this is, again, of the first 3 habits, is 3 things that are under our personal control. And then the second 3 habits, habits 4, 5, and 6, are part of your public victory, and then you have indirect control of those. And then it's important to understand that anything outside of this is something that you can't control. And there's a quote from Alcoholics Anonymous, or it's also sometimes known as, with a little wording changes, it could be thought of as the Serenity Prayer. And that is, Lord, give me the courage to change the things that can and ought to be changed, and the serenity to accept the things which cannot be changed, and the wisdom to know the difference. I think that quote sums up the synopsis of the book in this first habit, in that you try to control things that are within your own control and be proactive. Hope you found this presentation of value, and I'll be continuing more expanding on the other 6 habits in the 7 habits of effective people. And it's a book widely available on Amazon and other bookstores. I hope you found this video of liking. If so, please give the video a like, and please consider subscribing. Thank you and have a good day.